Football with friends. It's fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap, man. So happy to be here with you guys on a Friday, a big football Friday, a Friday that, of course, is for the boys, a Final Takes Friday, Ask the Boys Anything Friday. So happy to see all of you guys here today as we're ringing the bell on this work week and getting ready to go into this Wyoming game. Hello. Blake Winfrey, Cody Carpentier in the chat and on the show here. Of course, you can find him at Carpentier NFL on Twitter here. Let's see here. We have Text Guy. How are you, sir? Text Guy 2. Friday for FWF. Absolutely. We got Jay Ward. Of course, we have the Rogue Shop. One of the true G's around here. Good to see you, brother. You go ahead and scan that QR code, dude. Always a great friend of the show. Great friend of the network, great friend of Orangebloods. Let's for every minute Alex is late, take a dab of that hot sauce. Jay Ward, you got to get out of here with this nonsense. If anybody's eating hot sauce here on the show, it is Cody, so we can witness the allergic reactions. Cody, you didn't prepare a big plate of meat again, did you?
Get out of here. No.
That is just. That whole carnivore diet is just too much. We might need to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, it's just, I mean, come on now. On here.
No red meat today. I ate my lunch a couple hours ago. I had some chicken, so that's it.
Chicken.
I never seen a big one before, but I ate it anyway.
We'll be talking today about a whole lot of stuff. Of course, the theme of the day, best pies. I'll be interested to hear from Cody. There's a million different kinds of pies. I was thinking to myself about this earlier. What's the best? There are a few at the very top, and I feel like there's a few very, 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 very right. I mean, Kyle W's onto something here with the pecan pie. I've said that there's a couple answers that are just kind of right. You know, pecan pie is one of them for sure. Anybody comes in here and says pumpkin, they're going to get banned from the Specs chat line. It's not a proper. I think pumpkin pie is fine to eat. You know, but it's kind of one of the things that makes Thanksgiving bad is that people think that that's an actual dessert. Fresh homemade apple pie, definitely delicious. A bunch to get to today. Wyoming Final Takes Friday. Blake's got 6 or 7 questions lined up at the very end of the Final Takes segment. Who knows when it's going to be? Whether it's this segment next. I think last time this thing took us like 3 seconds. I think we got through like one question in the first segment of the show. So we'll
list the 85 most important players on each team. That's what we're
in order. I did chocolate chess pie. Oh gosh, ooh. I didn't think about that, but that's definitely a good one. Bama fans need to eat humble pie. That's whatever. Lux 222 coming with the fire early, man. So good to see all you guys. Let's see, Paul. Should Alex be banned since he thinks pumpkin pie isn't a pie? Look, I can just get out with this. Get this takeout just good and early. I've just said since I was a little kid, it's not a proper dessert. It just truly isn't. It's not sweet enough. Like if you want to eat it on the side, but look, we've already established about all this cockamamie Thanksgiving food. One thing, it's not good because if it was good, we would eat it more often. No, when's the last time that you stuffed a turkey full of stuffing and you ate it on a Wednesday night? It's not hard. It's not any harder to cook than spaghetti or any tacos or any ribs, any of the stuff that's good to eat that we always eat, right? And we never eat it. Why? Because it's not really that good. But the cockamamie thing too to add on to that is that we've added in this whole thing has been added in where you eat like sweet things on the side with it, like cranberry sauce, all this stuff. As long as you're eating cranberry sauce with it, it should be fine to eat that fake pumpkin pie with it, right? But like to me. Does y'all? I can't believe we're starting off like this. Do y'all's family make the sweet potato like casserole stuff where it has the little marshmallows on top?
I don't.
Does your family make that? It's like to me that's more of a dessert than a pumpkin pie.
Yeah, I don't.
Why not eat the pumpkin pie on the side? Yeah. Well, Gabriel Aguilar, just coming with the heat. You guys are taking away my fastballs that I was waiting till the end.
Of Hayes City Store too. Man,
yeah, shout out Hayes City Store. Absolutely, great member of the boards over there on Orangebloods. All right, so we got the final takes. We'll talk about some college football. I thought we'd talk about some college football scouting, maybe some of these guys we want to watch this week. Cody has told me, though, all of the games this weekend apparently stink. It doesn't matter. It's football, right? We're going to have fun watching it. We're going to talk about that stuff. Of course, we have a Flex Friday over on Prize Picks.
Woo.
Cody pulled up his little tool last week that worked so well with those two. Cody, are there any picks on unabated this week that have any edge? You don't need to look now, but like those were gold last week.
Yeah.
The two that you gave me both totally hit. So we'll talk about that. As we mentioned earlier, Fridays, certainly for the boys. If you guys have questions, make sure and put them in the chat. Like it'll be a little bit more free flowing today. So if you guys have questions, Blake will get them up. We'll get to all your questions during the show. If you could, please. Thank you, Blake. Like and subscribe to the channel. As always, I have my email here underneath my name when it goes back to the regular, alex@rosterwatch.com. If you have suggestions for the show, anything you'd like me to get to, if you have anything you'd like to complain about, I'll certainly feel free to send those, and I'll forward them on to Blake. And then
Alex, your favorite PFF grades each weekend.
Yeah, and then of course, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, that's where you can get me as well. We need to bring on more sponsors. We're growing the show. The metrics are going up. More people are viewing. They're viewing for longer. It's fantastic. Our sponsors are doing great. We would like to have a few more. You can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Text guy said, hold on. Alex, Kirko is 11-19 in primetime now. Let the Kirk Cousins haters cheer. Well, hey, man, it's just like I wish Cody would have been on the show yesterday to talk about this Kirk Cousins primetime nonsense. All right.
He did put up like, what was it, 38 fantasy points or something like that?
Yeah,
He fumble out the back of the end zone kind of cost him.
I wouldn't say he totally choked. Jordan Addison certainly hit. Oh, the prize picks from yesterday, the story that we told ourselves, it didn't exactly hit because A.J. Brown didn't get there, but Jalen Hurts sure did. We had Devontae Smith got there.
Almost.
Of course, Jordan Addison got there in one play, really. One play came this close on A.J. Brown. Man, that would have been a nice 10x for us. We'll be back at it tonight. Even if Cody doesn't have any edges on unabated, we'll still go click around on there and see if we can find anything. Tonight's game's a little bit weird too. I think there was one game where it's like Army's playing in one game and Air Force is playing in another game. So it's always a little bit kind of hard to tell when you got these.
Army's playing UTSA, which is kind of interesting, mildly intriguing.
Okay. And then, of course, we need to talk about NFL Week 2. Cody and I will preview that. We'll talk about some of the fantasy stuff. My circa millions entries. I'm still kind of waiting. There's some injury news right now that we're waiting on.
Lots of it.
Well, we've got the Jerry Jeudy news. We've got the Austin Eckler news now. I'll be hear from you, Cody, whether or not Joshua Kelly is going to be. Look, we'll talk about that later. I'm not sure how much I want to. Versus the Titans front, they're really hard to run on.
The Titans front looks fantastic, but I mean, so this is the weird thing because last week all my takeaways were how good the Tennessee front looked, and then also how good the Los Angeles Chargers offensive line has improved over time, and also like juxtaposed with that is how good Joshua Kelly actually looks. Like it's Joshua Kelly, I think, is more than a jag. Like he's so far ahead of Isaiah Spiller, it's not even funny, and Eckler's talked about his importance in that offense and that role. He looks like an efficient back right now after week 1. After watching 1 week of football, this is an entirely different Joshua Kelly. Like I'm not saying he was ever a slug, but this is an efficient running back that I'm all in on. As far as
you're all in on Jay Kelly. I mean, I like Jay. He's been. I mean, he might not be a
he's
jag
been
now,
fine. He's been fine. Right?
He's kind of Joshua Kelly's kind of been a jag. Well, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
We liked him at the Senior Bowl though, and like he's also a really good guy. Let's see, what about Baltimore? Gordon coming up from the practice squad, I think eventually takes that lead. Dude, I don't think so. Jason Oblinsky, good luck. Like I think that's going to be a nightmare committee. And the last time that we saw Melvin Gordon, he looked completely dusted. Just completely dusted. I think his legs look deader than dead. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it.
How many times have we seen this with Gus and Justice, and then it's like some random dude they bring up, like Melvin? It's Gus and Justice. Like that's what they're going to lean on, and we know what Lamar can do. So there's games you go back the last 4 years, games against Cincinnati especially. I think the one game he had like 25 or 28 carries against Cincinnati. He had 19 against Cincinnati just a couple years ago, like a dozen, 11. It gets consistency. So and we know Gus is 5 yards per carry. That's his entire career. So I'm not really Melvin's not going to do anything.
I'm glad that Tex Guy 2 brought this up because there was the explosive interview that Kelly Stafford did about Matt Stafford
I saw that.
and having trouble connecting with some of these millennials. We'll need to get, or not necessarily millennials, like younger millennials. It's like people who are like 21, 22 right now, or they're technically more like Gen Z. They're not even millennials anymore. I don't think. Are they?
No, I think you're right.
When is tell me when the birth.
My Gen Z.
I don't know. Find out. Like that's the thing about Gen Z. They don't even know what they are. Dude, go online and tell us whenever the years that these things start.
Gen Zers were born between the late 1990s and the early 2010s. So I'm kind of right on the border, I guess. I was born in 98.
Okay. So you guys are younger millennials, older Gen Z-ish, right? Rogers hinted at making it back this season on the Pat McAfee show today. I know Cody's a big fan of the Pat McAfee show. Cody, you have any thoughts about that? There's no way he's coming back this season. He might hint towards it. It's fine, but he's not coming back off a torn Achilles to play this year.
There's a better chance Kirk Cousins gets traded to the Jets than Aaron Rodgers makes it back. And neither are
you still think that Devontae Adams is getting traded to the Jets?
No, gone. I'll sub in Kirk Cousins for Devontae Adams.
Okay, so that's your new cockamamie Jets plan. I think they've already made enough moves, man. I'll tell you the move that I'm making in the Super Contest for sure is Dallas, right? Dallas,
that's bold, man. That's bold.
Dallas in that one. Hey man, I don't care if it's chalk, dude. They're gonna demolish. They're gonna demolish him. Let's see. Are we considering cobblers in the pie conversation? I'm sure. Hey, it's football with friends. It's fine.
It's Friday.
If we're talking about, if we're already talking cobbler now, then that brings in a new. Throws a curveball into this whole thing. All right, curveball. All right, so yeah, best pies and again today's priorities. Right, subscribe to the channel, like the channel, comment below. That definitely also helps. What would be the ideal NFL landing place for Quinn, Xavier, and JT next year? We can talk about that. We can get to our final takes in a minute. Quinn Ewers with the 15th pick in the 2024 NFL draft is selected by
the Las Vegas Raiders.
That would be good. Him and Aiden O'Connell kind of there for maybe 1 year behind Jimmy G. I think the Raiders. I think that would actually be good. McDaniels is the kind of coach that I do think that he would look at his arm talent and say this is a dude that I can work with. It tends to like guys who are a little bit more boring and a little bit less. Quinn Ewers does have a tiny bit of kind of YOLO gunslinger to him. Just he has a little bit of that to him whenever he's operating at his best. Could he? What about? Tampa Bay could certainly I like that. Could certainly use him. Canales there, if he's still there, and I think that would be a good one. Xavier Worthy. So who needs that sort of outside, stretch Z? Whenever we think about the wide receiver, there are a lot of teams that could use Zay Worthy. Can you imagine him on the fast track with the Indianapolis Colts? Get him to replace Alec Pierce opposite Michael Pittman.
How about Detroit in the
that's the answer.
Jameson Williams role?
Yes, of course it's Detroit for Xavier Worthy. JT Sanders, everybody knows what the answer is. Oh yeah, we talked about it. Mm-hmm. Send him to the Chiefs. The eventual Travis Kelce replacement for sure. It'll be a cruel world, and Xavier ends up in Philly. There's I don't think that there's any way. Do you know what could happen? Could you see him? Maybe no. In the best of the best of all worlds, the T Higgins becomes either traded this year, but just becomes a cap casualty, and they can't hold on to him. And what if he goes and lines up opposite Jamar Chase catching balls from Joe Burrow? That would be a killer spot for big plays. That would almost, but do you know what that would be an almost better spot for? Would be AD Mitchell, more of a kind of X
just
type,
replacing
right?
Higgins. Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing that we need to talk about. Did you read Dane Brugler's breakdown of AD Mitchell and Xavier Worthy on The Athletic?
Did he just post him?
He posted yesterday. We can talk about it later. Let's Oscar Lopez is saying, please no. It's just no more weapons to the Eagles, please. Okay. All right. Football with friends, man. It's fun as hell. Final Takes Friday. Fun as hell. We'll definitely keep on taking your pies. We'll definitely keep on taking your questions. Blake, we'll pop in with your questions whenever you got them. Super chats especially. But let's get started, Blake. Our final takes of the week. Heading into Wyoming. We've said it all here on the show.
And once again, guys, we're going to do all the final takes, and then we're going to do a big vote at the end as to whether you agree with Alex or Cody more on their final takes. All right.
No, it's not that. It's who won. Who won? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Who had the better final takes?
Yes, the winner.
Right. Number one.
Cody ended up being the winner last week. But when we reviewed, especially the top 5 players, the meaningful players,
top 5.
Man, my top 5 was pretty strong. So we'll see.
I mean, where did I miss? JT Sanders goes for $100. Jake Majors was on mine, just like
I think that you said the guy that you were worried. I think you got some bad info from that guy on Catch 'em Show. I think that dude who was the outside linebacker, he played on special teams. He played like 6 snaps.
That guy was cheeks, dude.
He played like 6 snaps.
He didn't do anything.
Right. Do you know what I did today, Blake? In preparation for this, I did watch the second half of Texas Tech versus Wyoming.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yep. All
right. Is a win versus Wyoming, or does Texas need style points?
All right. Well, you tell us who goes first for this one, and then we'll go back and forth.
Oh, let's start with the guest. Cody, you go ahead.
No, I think a win's a win. I think it's a night game. I think they're going to get. The thing is, and I've listened to a couple of shows this week, and basically it was pretty laid out, pretty obvious, right? And if it goes this way, it doesn't really matter. I think it's going to make everybody happy. And that is, I think the first half is going to be a dusting, like a 31-6, a 31-7, whatever you want to call it. 2 field goals or a touchdown they give up in the first half is just fine. But I think it's going to be like a 31-6, 31-7. And then that second half, you're going to get like a drive. It's going to be, hey guys, go score a touchdown. Then we're going to start subbing dudes in. And at that point, I think you're going to bring in Malik. I think he's going to get a full quarter and a half at least. And I don't like, that's why I don't think there's any style points needed. We already know what this team is. It was pretty apparent, right? Rice is looking better than they were expected to be. Alabama's Alabama. Now you just come home, and I think the number one task is just staying in line and not taking it for more than what it is, the win against Alabama, right? And I think it's, you get up 38-7, pull the starters, and you're happy. And you just kind of, I wouldn't say you coast to a victory, but you're going to keep pressing. But it's just going to be with different guys to get them opportunities.
So, so Blake, what does style points mean, you think? Is that just up to our own interpretation?
It's up to your own interpretation, but think of style points as something that would
VY days.
When the playoff committee,
Cody has a lot of style, brother.
When the playoff committee is making decisions, is this something they will take into account?
Yeah. This game doesn't matter that much. That's the thing. Like, this isn't like, oh, hey, you beat Wyoming 72-0. Like, Wyoming's they're not that big of a pull. That's why I don't really think it matters.
All right. So if we're talking style points like that, if we're talking style points, what's going to matter in the minds of the voters, whoever makes the cockamamie lists and stuff, like, I think that, I don't think it, I'm with Cody. I'm not sure it matters if it's like, 80 to, well, if it's 80-0, I think that actually does send it. Like, if we're talking an epic monster like that, I think that then people would say, well, this is a team that's out, just completely dominant. But that doesn't seem reasonable. It feels like to me, I've predicted today, I predicted Texas to win by 48 points. I predicted 58-10 because I think that, after watching Wyoming today, this was before watching Wyoming today, I'm a little bit coming off that a little bit. I do think that there are some things about this Wyoming team that we'll get to throughout the course of the show that I find interesting that I didn't know about before. Did you know that Oscar Giles is their defensive line coach? You already knew that?
I only do it because someone else did the research and it's been on the shows a couple times this week.
Oh, okay. That did surprise me. I didn't see those. They have some things that they're doing that I could see. Not screwing up what Texas is going to do, but they have some guys that I look at. They have some guys that I look at that I think that Texas is going to absolutely, really, really, really take advantage of badly. But there are some guys that feels like that they can do some things given their particular matchups, and we'll get into them. But I guess I'm kind of with Cody about it. If they win 38-7 or something, is probably
I don't
fine.
think they're going to win 38-7. I think they're going to be up 38-7 before they bring before they bring Malik in, and then it's going to whatever goes from there.
But isn't any game like that kind of a style points game? Like you're beating the team probably by 30, 40 points. That's a pretty big win. You're covering the spread. You're doing what everybody expected.
It means so much more though. Like if you look down the schedule, like okay, they got Baylor next week at Baylor at the night game on ABC. That would be a game where I want to put up 62. Like that's the style points that would matter. I don't think style points matter against Wyoming. You put up 62 in Wyoming. Like people are gonna say, "Oh, cool, you beat Wyoming 62-10." Oh, you beat Baylor 62-10 because it's a conference game and it's a night game, whatever.
Baylor does not belong in this conference.
Well, you know what I'm saying though, right? It's perceived way differently by anybody. You beat Wyoming at home 62-10, or you went to Baylor and you beat Baylor 62-10. Like it's two different. It's perceived two different ways by everybody.
So do you think that there's not even any difference with the way anybody would perceive this team, with the way the team perceives itself, with the way the fan base would feel about it being a win? Just say these two scores: 42-13 versus 58-7. Is it just that's the same thing? In the end, it's kind of the same. You look back on the season, and that's basically the same.
I guess giving up 13, you maybe be like, God, they gave up 13. They shouldn't have. There's a couple drives that I don't think it's a big difference. But yeah, I mean,
at what point here's another question: it's kind of just coming off this, and I'd be interested to hear Blake's take on this. At what point does it, if maybe Texas comes out and they're a little bit clearly, I don't even want to put it out there if any kind of loss or something, but at what point would it be a concern? Like what kind of?
I've got my next question is right along the lines of what you're talking about. So let me just go ahead and say that, and then we'll get into it. All right. What's the minimum first half lead for you to be satisfied with Texas's performance?
25.
They got what?
25 minimum.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, so how many? Let's just look and see. And again, like here's one thing. I mean, it's gonna be up to Texas. How they. I took away some things from the Texas Tech game, and I had a lot of stuff that I had, and one of the things that I had was don't go into this game and die on the altar of just playing fast the way that Joey McGuire did. It felt like he was just like they were playing fast, dude. They were going like NASCAR speed, what they kept saying, and they go down to the sidelines, and I forget who I don't know who the girl was who was down there because it was a tier 3 broadcast team, but she was asking McGuire coming out of the third quarter into the fourth, like, what do you guys need to do? Like, you guys have been playing real fast this quarter. Like, what do you need to do? And he's just like, I don't think we're playing fast enough. Like, we need to get like, I'm just like, dude, this guy's not waiting to make sure he's getting the right looks. He's not setting up plays. He's just getting out there. He's just like, he's just throwing himself out on this stupid altar of playing fast. And a lot of the time, man, with a quarterback like Tyler Shuck, I mean, he's good, but he's not as good as people. He's not as good as people think. He's not a super fast processor. He's out there playing super fast. You have better athletes than these guys. You have the safeties against this. Like, you can set these safeties up to get nuked, right? I think that they do probably trust their corners a lot. Their safety plays really, really bad. You got to get like. I don't think that Texas should be in the mode here where they're just saying like, we got to keep the tempo up. We got to keep the tempo up just because they're trying to play this game where they're slowing us down and they're taking the air out of the football and they're trying to run. And they're like, for one, I don't think that's going to work, but going out there and just tempo for tempo's sake, I don't think it makes sense. And that could be something that you take away from the Tech game. And so I'm trying to think if maybe there's probably less plays in this game, right? And if we just look back at how many series Texas has had over the course of the first 2 weeks, just in the first half of games, I think it's an average of around 5. But the good news is we do have the deep dig, and we can look and we can see exactly. Let's see. You know what? Before I'd come on the show, it's probably a good idea to get my data pulled up. You think, Blake? You think I should? You think I should be prepared? Prepared for football with friends? It's supposed to be fun. We don't need to be prepared. All right. So let's see. And versus Rice, how many series in the first half? Maybe this is a little bit more indicative of what it would be. So they had 7 series in the first half versus Rice. I think versus Alabama it was only 5, but they were longer drives, right? Mm-hmm. Alabama skill. So the series versus Alabama in the first half was 5, but it was how many plays? So, but it was 36 plays. So a 36 play, 5 drive first half versus Alabama. What was the number of plays versus Rice? It was 7 total, and it was 44 plays. So we're looking at probably just take an average. Say they're going to get 6 drives. I would say they need to score
6 times
in the first half. I mean,
you need to score 6 times.
You score every time you get the ball?
Yes. You're not punting against Wyoming.
You're saying that they need a lot more than 25.
I don't say you have to score a touchdown every single time. I'm just saying you need to get points every single time. There's no reason is that not a line? Like you score 4 touchdowns. I would think 2 field goals. That's 34.
Right, but you said 25.
Yeah, I would feel comfortable being up 25 at minimum. But what I was saying before was 31-6, 38-7, something like that going into half. And if you score 4 touchdowns, that's 28. 2 field goals, that's 34.
Let's say if they score on every
3. Yeah.
How about this? I'll give him the grace of, let's just project 6 drives. I'll give him the grace of 1 drive they just don't get it going. They get bad field position or something, right?
Holding call, whatever.
Okay. Happens. And then so I would say then how about they score 3 touchdowns and they have 2 field goals, and so that's 27. And I don't want to see Wyoming score. So I think they should be up 27 at half. They should be up at 27 at half. And if they let Wyoming score, they need to make up with it by not having that one bad drive. 27 is so what did Cody say? 25, and I told him that wasn't any good. And then I basically have the same answer after I go through all this whole process. I go through a whole process. And I go through the whole process and I have the same answer. Cody's going to win again? Cody's going to win again. My God. And it's just, dude, and it's just the same thing as last week. We get started. We've only gotten to two of these questions in the whole first segment, man. We're getting back to it. It is a Final Takes Friday here on Football with Friends. Next.
This Orangebloods recruiting flashback takes a look at a player that was the first commitment of the TCU class of 2020 and became the last signee of the Texas 2020 recruiting class, with a little stopover in Waco in between. That's right, Texas senior defensive back Jahdae Barron had one hell of a recruitment before eventually developing into one of the most important remaining players from a somewhat disastrous 2020 recruiting class. For those that might not remember, Barron finished as a mid 3-star prospect in the Rivals.com rankings while finishing 79th in the state and 72nd in the country as a cornerback. Should note for the record that I had Barron ranked as a 4-star prospect in my rankings and the number 30 overall prospect in the state. When we look at his recruitment, things really started to heat up following a junior day visit in February of 2019 to TCU and Gary Patterson. After visiting on the junior day in February, Barron committed just a couple of weeks later, citing that Patterson's track record of developing players was a big reason for his decision. Yet a little more than a month later, Barron backed out of his commitment to Patterson, primarily because his offer list started to take off shortly after his commitment, with the likes of Oklahoma State, Tennessee, and Arizona jumping into the mix. Before his decommitment, he actually took an unofficial visit to the 40 acres, although the Longhorns didn't offer. Fast forward to June 22nd, and Barron announced his commitment to Baylor. From that moment on, all the way through the rest of signing day, Barron was solid as a rock to the Bears, even in the aftermath of the departure of Baylor head coach Matt Rule. Things changed for Barron in April as he asked for Baylor to release him from his national letter of intent. Quote, Thank you to the Baylor Nation for embracing me, he said on Twitter. Today, I requested an official release from my NLI to Baylor and will begin looking for a new school to pursue my athletic dreams and career goals. 8 days later, Barron committed to Tom Herman's Texas Longhorns. Flipping Barron was a huge win for defensive backs coach Jay Valai, who had only been in Austin for a few months when he landed Barron. Barron was the 20th and final signee to a 2020 recruiting class that finished 16th in the nation. While Bijan Robinson is famously remembered as the headliner of the class, Barron was one of the 3 lowest rated prospects in the entire group, according to Rivals.com. Of the 2 players ranked lower than Barron, one of them was none other than All-America linebacker Jalen Ford.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Oh yes, football with friends is fun as hell. And listen, we have a this is a big day. We have a very, very special guest in the chat. I think it's Cody's younger brother, and he's NFL youngest GM in the chat, who happened to play me this week in the Scott Fish Bowl in the Longhorn Steakhouse division. This little twerp asking me to talk about the Scott Fish Bowl, and you're going to be in trouble, son. Like I can't believe this kid. You know, he. So what was his score last week? I come in here, dude. I drop a 192.06 in this league, right? The highest score of anybody who lost for sure. And there looks like there's 1, 2, 3, like him included, like 3 people that were right there in my neck of the woods as far as this. He beats me 193.25. He comes around talking to like, and I didn't half of my players didn't even go off. I played like Kyle Pitts and stuff like this. You just wait, NFL youngest GM. I got the Longhorn Steakhouse on lock. All right. Let's see here. So the final takes. What do we do? We talked but Specs, wine, spirits, and finer foods. World-class service that's all about you. We talked yesterday about the unique day that they had at Specs. I hope
wild day.
Hope they've gotten over most of that, cleaned up a lot of the bottles. Because listen, the service there is always terrific. You know, the old man fell into the bottles. It happened earlier in the day. It sounded like a train wreck. By the time I got in there, it didn't even smell like liquor had been on the ground. Look, everybody was happy just the way that they always are. It's how they do it. Specs, 4-time National Retailer of the Year. I would not go buy my alcohol anywhere else but Specs. And we're talking about pies. I've certainly been there, and they have nice, pies, things like that, anything you can get to. So Specs, and you can chat. The chat line is brought to you by Specs. Please visit specsonline.com. Please drink responsibly, and I don't care if you chat responsibly as long as it's safe content for the kids who are watching. All right, look at this twerp.
Hey Alex, I think if you
he'll be waiting.
If you would have played,
you got to be kidding me. Is this the Cody Carpentier cockiness that's in this guy? How old is this guy?
13.
I love him, man. Maybe I don't hate him as much. He's only 13. Already out here talking this smack. Oh, dude. I'm telling you, man. Football with friends. It's fun as hell, dude. We don't. What is his name again? You've told me his name.
Tiger.
All right, Tiger. We'll see, man. I'll see you in the SFB, brother. Doug Haven says peach pie the best. Peach pie. I've had peach cobbler. We talked about whether or not cobbler should be involved here. To me, it feels like it's not. It feels like it probably shouldn't be involved if you got to put ice cream on it to get the best out of the cobbler, right? With some of these pies, you don't need to put anything on top. Peach cobbler, you kind of need to have some ice cream on there. Bluebell makes the blackberry cobbler ice cream. Whew. We should do a best ice creams one show.
Oh yeah.
Some dirtball's gonna come in here and say mint chocolate chip, and he's gonna get banned from the chat.
You're staring at him.
Really, dude?
I grew up only.
All right, so that's it for Cody.
I grew up literally only eating mint chocolate chip, and instead of like we would always whip it. I don't know if you ever whipped the ice cream before, but every time I eat it, we just sit and stir, basically make it into a malt, and that was just how I grew up. Was always mint ice cream.
Man, do you know what my son is? My youngest, he's showing disturbing, like, let's hope it doesn't happen here. You know, they go through phases. He's showing disturbing signs of maybe kind of liking the mint chocolate chip too. He kind of orders it whenever he has other options. I say, what the hell are you doing? I mean, it's his choice. He can do what he wants in life. I always say, man, like, I'm not here to tell you what to do. He
doesn't order the strawberry frosty though, does he?
I am here to tell. No.
Okay, good.
I certainly am here to tell my kids what to do, but not about ice cream. We can do whenever they're allowed ice cream, which is not never. Okay.
I can't wait for Halloween to come around so we can start the candy conversation once again and how it's handled.
Well, there is no candy conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
There is no candy conversation. Oh wait, these people probably don't know from the modcast about my kids having to play the Squid Game for the
That's
candy.
What I'm telling you. They don't know.
Oh yeah, the Squid Game's a tough and brutal game, and when you lose in the Squid Game for your candy, your one piece of candy that you can have per night of everything you went out so hard to work for, whenever you lose the Squid Game, the hardest part is seeing the kid just having to go out to the trash can and dump it all out. But hey, that's life, dude. That's what happens in the Squid Game. All right, let's see. Final takes. Wyoming.
Final takes. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
The Texas players Wyoming is most worried about on each side of the ball.
Okay. Am I first for again? I forgot if I'm back up. No, Cody's back up.
Cody's back.
I think on defense, it's easy. It has to be Sweat, right? Like if you can't stop Sweat, they're not going to have a chance to do anything from the inside out. So that's easy on defense. On offense, I don't really know because there's too much talent, really, in my opinion, on Texas. I guess if you want to, you take away that's the thing. You take away one wide receiver, the other one's going to still be there, right? If you try to take away Xavier, Adonai's still going to be there. Who are you most worried about? I guess I'd probably just say X because of who he is and the talent that he represents and the target share that he has so far this year. That'd be the guy you're most worried about, is letting him kind of get over the top on you consistently. But either way you look at it, if you try to break it down from as a Wyoming fan, it's like, oh, let's take away X. It's like they're just going to sit and drill Adonai, and JT's going to get his opportunities, and they're going to run the football down your throat. So I'll go X and Sweat, which is two chalk answers, but I think it's easy.
I love how Cody calls him Adonai. It's like that is his name. Everybody around
here
calls
he actually wants to go by. He said in the press conference a few weeks ago he prefers Adonai to AD. I don't know if you.
So we should. So I mean, if that's what he prefers, then that's what we should call him.
He said that before the Rice game.
Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be hard. Adonai Mitchell. It's
trying to get ahead of it for the draft season.
It's a cool name.
Ahead of it.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, during the draft season, these guys, it's funny, man. During the draft
season,
they'll
go back to AD by then. Yeah.
But you know how during the draft season, these guys are just like they come out, and you know they get agents, and the agents tell them it's like, hey, dude, like you're a pro now. You know you're not beholden to anybody and stuff like that. And they say stuff like, oh yeah, well like Jason Owe, he's like, well I've hated it that they've made me go by Jason this whole time. Yep. You know, I don't even know what his name is. Or like Darius Leonard was like, man, I hated like nobody's ever called me Darius. So he called me, what do they call him, Shaq now, Shaquille.
Shaquille.
There was
Juju Brents this last year.
Yeah,
Julius
there's always this
switched it up halfway through.
People just like they just go through their college careers and they don't really feel like they're in a spot where they can get up in front of everybody and say, hey man, like Romeo Dubs. He finally got to the pros and he's like, hey man, like my name's Romeo Dobbs. It was even wrong on the pronunciation guide back in Nevada. Like it's like it didn't even matter. So Adonai Mitchell. Okay, well that's gonna be hard, man. It's gonna be hard. It finally clicked with me with, instead of Devon Campbell, to call him DJ Campbell. So I guess with Adonai that'll have to change. Okay. It's funny that
chalky.
it's funny that like sweat feels good. There was somebody like, oh yeah, Alan Carranza, how are you doing, sir? Great to see you. Cody Ferris, good to see all you guys, man. Billy Bird, thank you so much for being in the Specs chat line here on Football with Friends. Of course, it's always fun as hell. We one thing I wrote down, Blake and Cody, was that one key here, the right tackle, man, you got to attack him. Number 72, he stinks. He's very, very, very bad. He is sloppy. He has horrible technique. He gets off balance. He gets overextended. He is he's the very picture of just everything that you don't want from a pillar on that as far as sort of like a, what I call it, like a bookend, right, on the line of scrimmage. He's very, 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 very wobbly over there. You can get speed rushes on him. You can convert speed to power. You can bull rush him. He's not particularly strong. Like I said, very, very sloppy. What is number 72's name? Do you guys know? You probably don't know. I'd like to even see what he weighs. Let's see. Wyoming R-Lads. And you guys can just go watch the second half of this game's up on YouTube. Just go and watch him in this game and tell me that. So 72, Caden Barnett. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's 6'5", 310. Oh man, I hate this that he's from Texas. He's a Texas guy. Justin, Texas. I'm not sure where that is. Justin, Texas.
Justin, that's outside of Denton, like just south of Denton.
Yeah.
Shout out Justin. God, I'm sorry if he's somebody's like nephew. Look, he's just on the early end of his development curve. He's got some nice things, but golly, right now. So I think Ethan Burke, dude. Ethan Burke, I would be like, if I'm that coaching staff, I look at what Burke has done, and I know for Texas fans, it's like you think about Ethan Burke, you still think about him as being a relative newcomer, and you're still thinking about you're betting on the come with him, and yeah, he still has some good filling out and some good weight to add on his own and stuff. But if you watch tape from these first two games, Ethan Burke has been, if you don't work at one particular website, Ethan Burke has been one of the best players on the Texas defense. He's been completely disruptive. He's racking up TFLs, quarterback hits, hurries, pressures, sacks. And usually you look at him, you're like, man, he's kind of fast enough to get the speed on this guy. He's big enough and long enough to convert his speed inside to power. If Homeboy 72 gets overextended, we're gonna have a long day. Homeboy, what's his name? Is it Peasley? Kind of looks like like a homeless man's Josh Allen, right? Peasley. I mean, Peasley's. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't want to get any like Taysom Hill comparisons or stuff like that, but you can't let this become a Taysom Hill kind of thing with him getting these little dink and dunk, little 5-yard runs like he did versus Tech. But it's like he's gonna. It's good that he's a real big guy that can take some hits. I feel like he's gonna take some hits, and it'll be from Ethan Burke. And then on offense, Cody. I mean, it's Xavier Worthy. He's the guy that you just watch the film on. You know that he's gonna have the massive, the dominator kind of target share. You got to prepare for him. And if he beats your corners and he gets past those guys, the corners aren't that bad. And I think Sark had mentioned that. He said that they kind of trust their corners. The reason that they trust their corners is because the over-the-top help from the safeties. I mean, these safeties, they are incapable of giving help. They take horrible angles to get over the top of this stuff. So I think that like Xavier Worthy, which is the way that the Wyoming defense sets up, he's just like he's a player that represents just nightmare fuel just by way of his profile and the fact that he's so good and he's like the best receiver tech. I think he's the best receiver. Is Xavier Worthy the best receiver Texas has? Are we ready to say that he's better than Adonai Mitchell?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something deeper than that. Yeah, I think he's better.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a historical like.
Yeah, I thought you were going for something deep.
No.
Yeah, but he's in the conversation for that.
But are we sure that Xavier Worthy's going to be but I'm so used to thinking about this from like a NFL scouting perspective.
I prefer scouting perspective. I'm talking about talent, college talent.
Oh, from a college, fine. From a college talent perspective, right. I think that Xavier Worthy is generational. But from an NFL scouting perspective, You think? I mean, I think the Adonai is going to be listed right there along with Xavier Worthy as far as how he's evaluated as far as his NFL fit.
Yep.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I 100%. I thought that since they transferred, you saw how Georgia freaked out. I mean, the fan base was like distraught that Adonai was transferring to Texas. Like they thought that was going to be the number one guy. I mean, he just scores touchdowns. How many games going back is it in a row that he scored touchdowns in?
9.
Where it was at 7 coming into the season, so 9.
9, yeah.
The legend of Taysom Hill lives on, turning Jags into Heisman level play. God, that Taysom Hill game will always talk about a game that haunts your dreams. Just, I mean, that was a brutal.
Dude, the leap of Dylan Haynes.
Yep.
The what? His jump over Dylan Haynes.
Oh, was that Haynes at the time? I get a bunch of those guys mixed up. A bunch of those, similar kind of. Did Dylan Haynes play from the time that he was a true freshman? I think he did.
I think so. Yeah.
No talking about Taysom Hill. See, dude, it's still really, Cody. You have no idea
it was
how much
a decade ago, and we're still.
It's like you can't talk about him, and you certainly can't talk about Michael Crabtree around here. Like, those are two players. It's just like no, man. They're completely off limits. Okay. So that's what I say. I say Ethan Burke and X. And I don't say Ethan Burke because I think that Cody's right that T'Vondre Sweat going up against the interior of this offensive line, Byron Murphy too. But I mean, Byron Murphy's been better this year. Technically, he's been more productive than Sweat. Sweat has just flashed more of the big play stuff, right? Byron Murphy just under the radar, just run stuff after run stuff after run stuff, man, taking on double teams, keeping the linebackers clean. But
I'm sorry, El Presidente. That's tough.
I was there in Provo, awful. But the Mormons were really nice. Feed me ice cream. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry about the Taysom Hill talk. Yeah. All right. What's up next?
All right. Call your shot. Is it finally Alfred Collins disco party week?
I'm up.
Yes, you're right.
What are we doing for the disco party when it finally happens? I know Nash said he's going to come on. He's going to put the deal with the glasses on. I said I was going to eat some. Cody's going to come on. He's going to eat some meats. What are you going to do,
You're going to
Blake?
have some hot sauce and tequila.
I'm going to have some hot sauce and some tequila. It'll be the first time man. Wait, am I technically is it technically kid friendly for me to drink tequila on the show? I think it's fine. I drink it in front of my kids like every day.
Of course.
So that's fine. It's probably not against Ketch's rules. He wouldn't care. I could probably drink a beer in here every day. Ketch wouldn't care. It probably wouldn't be he might start.
Every day is aggressive.
he might start to ask about that. But what are you going to do, Blake?
I don't know. Maybe it should be sponsored by the Rogue Shop or something.
Yeah, maybe you could. Yeah, you could toss a bunch of gummies in your mouth or something like kind of like Garfield used to do with lasagna.
I need to see it happen before I come up with the thing we're gonna do.
All right, but is it finally Alfred Collins disco party week? I hate to tell you that no, it is not. It is not. It is not. It is not. I fear it'll never be Alfred Collins disco party week.
Cody?
No. They've given up 1 sack this year, and it came from their center, Wyoming. The kid that
what 72, but was that never a sack he gave up? I saw him, dude. He gave up so many quarterback hits at least.
This website that starts with a P and ends with an F has them with one sack allowed, and it comes from their center number 77. 72. On the other hand, I don't want to burst your bubble or anything, but his nickname is the Vanilla Gorilla. And this guy wears black paint all over his entire face. So
terrible. He can't move. It's like he can't move.
Well, according to PFF, he's actually decent.
Really? Hold on. So how did PFF grade him versus Tech? If you have this pulled up, please.
He had a 57.6 against Tech and an 82.6 against Portland. So
okay. Well,
they got 65 on the year.
I'm sorry, I didn't see him going up against the mighty Portland competition. Where's Portland? Is that like Portland, Oregon?
Portland State. I think that's Big Sky. I think that's Big Sky. Okay. FCS. But he's got 4 hurries on the year. in 21 pass sets. So I don't know. That has nothing to do with it. The question is about Alfred Collins in the interior. That's the only place the sack has come from for Wyoming this year. So that's Sweat, Collins in that conversation. But no, I don't think it's coming.
Hold on. Blake Winfrey's been on the Alfred Collins train since the Colorado game. So you've been on that train since last year. When? Since the end of last Colorado game.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
Does he mean the Utah game, maybe? Or the Washington State game? What was the bowl game?
Washington.
The Washington game? Whatever. I don't know what that is.
Either way, hold the faith, brother.
But wait.
Colorado was the bowl game in 2020.
Oh, way back then. Yeah.
Has the train moved yet? You guys just sitting on the train waiting for the conductor to show up?
I will say,
you guys all out of your free waters and stuff? Like,
that's the only game Alfred Collins has ever eclipsed an 80-point PFF score.
Honey, is this thing going to get moving? Is this thing going to get moving? I feel like we've been here for years, honey.
Stuck at the station.
Is there a conductor up there? Stewardess. Are we leaving anytime soon? It's been a long time to be on that train. It's a long time. But hey, dude,
it's heading out this weekend.
Yeah.
The train leaves the station.
Okay. Well, old Blake Winfrey's looking over to his wife. He's saying, This is it, honey.
Hey, if it happens,
getting back home.
If it happens, we need you here on Monday, Blake Winfrey.
Look, I don't want this to feel like I'm I don't want this to. He's Ted Affair saying you got a drink.
Take a shot.
I don't want to say I don't think Alfred Collins is ever going to be good or something. I mean, Cody, this is like you didn't watch Texas as close last year as you did this year, clearly. But from before the season, what Jim Nagy said, the conversations you and I had about Alfred Collins, it's so funny that you and I have had just random conversations like drinking beers or having dinner about like guys like Alfred Collins, but just based on what like the stuff that you might have thought coming into the season and what you've seen from him this year, what Nagy has said. Does he look like a guy to you that's going to get a Senior Bowl invite?
I'll tell you what I wrote in the chat on that show with Jim Nagy. I think I was in the chat at that time, and I wrote, "So you're telling me he's a poor man's Tyree Wilson? He's got all the length, he's got all the projection, but he doesn't have much of the output in college, and that's what the NFL players love. Executives love, and you know this as much as I. They love the length, they love the athleticism, they love the perception of what could be, what can be, what should be. Just because it's not there right now, they think they can make it there, and that's what Alfred Collins. I mean, that's all y'all have been talking about for the last 3 weeks. Is like, oh, Alfred Collins should be, could be, would be, and that's about as far as it's gone. So that's exactly what Tyree was. Every time I remember literally like 10 months ago, I said, hey man, look at the mocks. Tyree Wilson's going 1. And you're like, what? Who? And it was like,
I told you, Cody,
guys never had 10 sacks.
I said that's the most absurd thing that I've ever heard. When I look around the conference and I think about the play, I'm like, all right, who's a problem? Kendre Miller is a giant problem. Right, yep. Quentin Johnston would be considered a problem. Deuce Vaughn is a problem. Last year, Xavier Hutchinson, he hadn't been good. He had a bad draft process, but he was every time it was 10 catches. It was a problem. There are these guys you can look at and you're like, okay, well these guys are. King Felix is a problem. They're these guys who you look at and you think they're problems. And Tyree Wilson, I grade every single snap from every single offensive lineman. And I never even thought to myself, this dude is, I never thought to myself, oh, this is a good evaluation rep. He's going up against a first round pick. I'm just like, there's nothing, zero, nothing, And then is he even has he even been elevated to the healthy roster yet?
He played last week, and my notes were he made the top 10 thoughts this week over at rosterwatch.com, and my thoughts were. Actually, he didn't. He was an honorable mention. But I said Tyree Wilson is still in his stance because he was one of the slowest players on the entire week getting out the blocks. It was terrible. I think Philly had 5 of the fastest 7 guys out of the blocks off the line of scrimmage on the defensive line. Tyree Wilson is quite literally still in his stance from week 1.
Yeah, and by the way, I didn't tell you, man. Great job on that pod. That's good. That's good content. You guys should listen to Cody's. It's the I rebranded it on the podcast feed, on the Roster Watch podcast feed, to the top 10 thoughts heading into week 2, just because we're we're a forward looking company. But but if you guys see that on the Roster Watch podcast feed, man, that's a Cody solo pod, dude. It's a bunch of legit information that you won't find anywhere else, because Cody's maniacal about watching back all these games and taking notes on stuff that you probably never caught. Okay. So the Alfred, was that all about the Alfred Collins disco party? We're not going to have it.
Both y'all agreed the train has not left the station, and it won't happen this week.
Old Blake Winfrey's coming home this weekend.
We're gonna
have a disco party for Blake Winfrey. Like, he's looking over at his wife. He's saying, "Honey, I promise this is it. Like, the conductor's about to show up. Once he does, we'll get this thing gassed right up. Like, they're bringing all the stewardesses back. We're not gonna have to."
The wheels aren't going to fall off this time. They're going to get on the track.
They've been since the Colorado game. They've been sitting there in that train, like having to collect the water that comes off the side when it rains.
It's been like 35 weeks. 35 weeks.
Just they're stuck there like they're on the movie Castaway inside this train. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, dude, and there was something else though that somebody said. Scott in Texas. Shout out Scott in Texas. So good to see you guys. Ted Apare, great to see you in here. Jason Siddell, Kevin Rayford, good to see all you guys, man. Scott in Texas is so right, man, and he's talking right here in my neck of the woods. Mm-hmm. I'm not in Marble Falls. I'm super close to Marble Falls. A lot of my neighbors work in Marble Falls. Dude, anytime anybody talks about stopping, saying like, I'm stopping at Blue Bonnet Cafe. Do you want anything? It's like, oh God, yeah. Just whatever pie looks good, whatever you think's good, whatever they got. That's almost the best answer. Just anything from Blue Bonnet Cafe. If you guys are ever driving through Marble Falls, you'd be crazy not to stop and just grab one.
Is that on the way to your house from Austin, or is that past you?
No, it's a little bit past. But it's like right here. Whenever you come visit, man, we'll go get some Blue Bonnet Cafe. It's delicious. All right. We got any more final takes questions?
Yeah, we got a few more.
Wait, hold on. Wait. But that's no way to tease it. We got more final takes, right? Wyoming game. It's a big game. It's about time that people are getting off work, man. They're starting to ring the bell. They're getting excited about a big weekend. We got some weird football games tonight, but hey, at least it's football. We're here with our friends. It's fun as hell. We're going to continue with final takes Friday next.
This Orangebloods recruiting flashback takes a look at arguably the most high-profile recruitment in the history of the Texas football program, at least until Arch Manning came along. Yes, I'm talking about former Texas quarterback Chris Sims, who was the nation's #1 ranked prospect when he came out of New Jersey in 1999. Sims took a look around all over the nation early in his recruitment, visiting the likes of Ohio State and Penn State, before eventually setting on his top two. The two UTs, Texas and Tennessee, were his two finalists. After taking an official visit to Austin in the fall of 1998, the Longhorns appeared to be poised to land Sims, which partly helped steer Eli Manning, who also visited Texas in the fall of 1998, to Ole Miss. Yet, when Sims announced his decision on December 15th on the MSG network, he picked the Vols over the Longhorns. Mack Brown later admitted that the Texas coaching staff was shocked by the news. Quote, "I'm proud to be a Vol, and it's a good place for me," Sims said upon his announcement. "I'm a big fan of Coach Fulmer, and I think it fits me right. I feel so relieved, and I can finally get back to being a high schooler and enjoying myself." Yet, the truth of the matter is that Sims wasn't really relieved about the decision, and word got around quickly that he was wavering on his commitment to the Vols almost as soon as he made the announcement. I can remember talking to a Texas source on January 1st of 1999, just before the Longhorns played Mississippi State in the Cotton Bowl, that the Longhorns were going to flip Sims away from Tennessee. A few days following the New Year's Bowl game, Sims called Texas assistant coach Tim Brewster to tell him that he was having second thoughts. Less than 3 weeks later, Sims sat down with his parents, Diana and Phil, you might have heard of him, to reevaluate the decision. The next day, he called Tennessee head coach Phil Fulmer to deliver the news. Sims said, quote, "The hardest thing I ever did in my life. The first thing he said to me was, 'Chris, I'm down here in Alabama recruiting you the best receiver in the country, end quote. One day later, Sims made things official by flipping his commitment to the Longhorns, which helped cement a #1 overall recruiting class for Brown and his coaching staff. It proved to be a game changer for the Longhorns, as evidenced by the commitment of the big 3 wide receivers in the following recruiting class: B.J. Johnson, Roy Williams, and Sloan Thomas, as well as paving the way for Cedric Benson's commitment to the Longhorns in the 2001 recruiting class. Ultimately, it was one of the great recruiting moments in the history of the Texas football program.
Football with friends. It's fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Oh man, I'm so happy to be here with you guys. But guess what? I cannot be without my alpha male sheet of paper outlining the show, reminding me about the things that I need to talk about here. We have Blake just really trying his best to act like he's not having internet issues. So we're gonna see what happens. Whether or not
some of those Christians highlights, but not all of
them. Whether or not he pops in and whether or not he has to pop in and out, he might be able to reset his internet, and that's what we do around here. It's fine. We let you behind the curtain, and we're here with our friends, having some fun, gabbing about some football, getting around the water cooler. Maybe some of you guys are getting around the old daddy soda cooler out on the back porch. Man, I'll tell you, man, my back porch is covered in the it's the Wyoming play sheet. It's like, yeah, but make sure that Peasley just tucks the ball and goes and runs it for 5 yards, and he tries to stay in bounds. Yeah. Late to hop in, couldn't get by without listening to a bit of FWF. Samuel Hayes, thank you so much, brother. Jareth Mulholland, good to see you in there. Jason Siddell. Is that Lake Travis number updated? Blake, I think that you updated it.
I updated it 5 minutes before the show.
And it still moved down a little bit?
Yep. It went slightly up and then back down after the rain.
Is Cedar Park or somebody stealing water from us again?
Maybe that's
something going on, because I mean, it's like it's rained a little bit. We got 1 inch the other day. I saw that over the course of last night, we got like another 1/4 inch. I know that the ground's soaking it all in, but it feels like, I mean, when you go out to the pool,
it went up briefly. If you look at the chart, it goes up briefly, and then it's going back down again.
I mean, the water that goes over the lake should just be, if it adds in, because I know that, like, if I get an inch in my rain gauge, I can go down to the pool and like I have one of these super fancy pools, right? That was like to where whenever I have to fill it up, whenever water evaporates, I do, like, it's this cool feature where you just take a hose down there, right, and stick the hose in there and fill it up. And so, like, it doesn't have any autofill features, and so like I'm very aware of how much water evaporates, and like when I worry about the lake, because I'm like, every time, like some of these days during the summer, it was especially on this ridge I live on up on Bee Creek, the wind comes up. Cody, whenever you come visit, you'll see how this, like, it's real windy, and so it's not just hot, and it's not just so dry. It's got this wind that comes over the top. I'm sure it's the same down on the lake. And then whenever you like that, dude, this thing goes like it, like in a day, it'll lose 1/2 inch, three quarters of an inch. And you got to go fill it up to make sure it doesn't get below the line where to where the filter won't intake air, So it's like, I just want, but whenever I see the rain come in, right, I'll go and examine where is it my gauge versus where it was yesterday, where the pool line was, and it's always about the same. So shouldn't it be that way? The lake should have come up. I think somebody's stealing the water. Who's stealing the water? Does anybody know about this?
Also, we need to get to the bottom of this, Alex. What did Jay Ward send you that we can't show on the show?
What? He sent me the picture from the other day. Jay Ward, did you send what? Hold on. What did he say? You couldn't show it on YouTube. What are you sending me, Jay Ward? Hold on. Let me go look. Hold on. Maybe did I miss something? Hold on. I got to go check on this. Let's see. Jay Ward. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't see anything from Jay Ward.
Says he sent you one yesterday.
I just show you part of my trophy room from Jay Ward.
You showed the trophy room. That was pretty badass.
No, Jay Ward, I didn't get it, and I'm thankful that I didn't, because you said I couldn't. Look, if we can't show it on YouTube, please don't email it to me.
Oh, it has dead animals in it. Okay.
What?
Right. He said it has dead animals in it.
Oh, we can show dead animals. We can show dead antelopes and dead animals and antelopes. Okay.
I don't think Peter watches football with friends.
Yeah. So what he's saying is there was somebody earlier saying that about the I understand that the Colorado River is what Lake Travis is. It's what the string of Highland Lakes is. And I also understand that what really makes the water level come up is when it floods up in Llano and it floods, it's like they got to open up Max Strack Dam and Marble Falls and stuff. That's when it's like you get the huge, it's got to flood everywhere else, right? Because the Lake Travis, everyone knows this, but Lake Travis basically exists to keep Austin from going underwater in case there's a giant flood, right? But that's the part of it, man. So like it's the biggest reservoir in all of Texas. It's an awesome lake to live on. It's just it's not constant level when it's down like this, man. It just hurts so bad. I gotta go to is today the 15th? God, I gotta go to Siesta Shores Marina right after this and go pay this dude $225 for just not being able to get in the lake. It's just unbelievable. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and it feels like a waste of money, right? It feels like $225. Just like it feels like I'm wasting it. I don't.
Again, is there not 600 feet of water in that thing or what?
Yes, but anywhere you can put in any of the marinas, anywhere you can launch on this side that's not on the Lago Vista side. And what's crazy, Cody, is like I look down at the lake, right, and I look across the lake. I can walk down to the lake and I can throw a baseball. Probably not. If I had a huge arm, if I could hit a golf ball over to Lago Vista, okay? Or technically over to Point Venture, okay? But if I want to drive to Point Venture, there's no bridges over Lake Travis, right? So if I want to drive to Point Venture, it'd probably take me, Blake, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, something. Like it's just you got to drive way, way, way out, come all the way around. So I mean, I think there's some places over there that I could get in. But I'm not driving 2 hours when I'm when the lake's literally right there. Let's see. I heard Greg Davis that Major Applewhite's cookie pies.
Hey, did you see that clip from the other night from the Outsiders? So Adam Dunn, who was briefly a quarterback at Texas during the Major Applewhite era, was on the show. Great MLB baseball player too. Had 462 home runs in the major leagues. Badass player. Ketchum had heard this story, but we asked Adam Dunn to confirm, and he did, that Major Applewhite would bake Greg Davis cookies to kind of get on his good side.
Is that true?
Yes.
There was all that talk. Remember about Sally's cookies? Do you remember everybody, Mac and Sally? Because there was all the talk, Cody, during the time that Mac Brown was here, that Texas had just such a soft country club culture, and they would say Sally's cookies, which was kind of like the thing. People would say that as sort of like a slight to Mac about how his mom was like the teen mom, would bring all the guys cookies and all this stuff like that.
Worked though.
Oh, it worked.
Yes, Scott? It was Chance Mock and Adam Dunn both confirmed that was a true thing.
Can you imagine bringing Greg Davis cookies? That's just I feel so weird handing cookies to that old man.
Y'all got to go back and watch that interview. It was hilarious. They had all sorts of comments on Applewhite.
but what I was trying to say is it feels like a waste of money having to pay for the marina, and I don't want you guys to waste money, especially whenever you're selling your home. And I have an answer for you. It's Val Garcia, Valen Realty, ValenRealty.com. Oh gosh, take a look at Val Garcia. Just look at that man in the eyes. Tell me that he's not going to shoot you straight. We're talking about a man who works with his hands, a man who sells the power equipment, a man who knows the craftsmanship of the homes. In the top 25% in sales across DFW. But guess what? When you work with him and you're a listener of Football with Friends, you are going to get all of Val Garcia's attention. He is one of us, whether you're in Burleson, whether you're in Denton, whether you're in Crandall, anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. He knows it. He knows it well. He has specialized agents in each of those areas. So even though you work with Val Garcia directly, you will also be reaping the benefits of his giant network and his unrivaled experience there in the DFW area. But most importantly, he's going to sell your house for free. I buried the lead. It's free. If you're a teacher or if you work in the ministry, he will sell your home for free. That's a savings of probably something like $12,000, $15,000. If you have friends in the DFW area who are in education, who are in the ministry, you are doing them a great disservice by not letting them know about the great, great, great Val Garcia. And if you call him, just call. You can call Val Garcia just to talk. I'd like to call Val Garcia just to chit chat. I might call him after the show. I might say, Val, what's up, brother? Like, I might call him after the show. He's a fun guy to talk to. He's one of us. If you just call him, introduce yourself, get a feel for the guy. You might not even be selling your home right now, but you know that when you do sell your home, you will revert by here with Football with Friends, and he'll sell it for half price. He's a great sponsor. He's a great dude. He's doing great things in the community. He's helping out the people who are his people, the educators, the folks in the ministry, and the people here on Football with Friends. Again, Val Garcia, Valen Realty. Don't waste $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Call Val, valenrealty.com. All right. Is it a waste of money? Is it a waste of money to pick Texas minus 30? I'm not sure it's a waste of money.
That's a good question.
Texas should. I mean, they should, but I mean, this is.
Is Texas is? Do you guys? All right, just and I want both you guys to answer at the same time. I've kind of taken over the game. I know Blake still has a few more questions, but I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and you tell me which team is better, Rice or Wyoming. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Wyoming.
Rice.
I'm not sure which is better. You know, I'm not sure. If you look at that talent thing where they did all the composite stuff that we've talked about, they say that Wyoming, as far as the star ratings and stuff, is probably less talented than Rice.
Wyoming has the better quarterback, in my mind. He's actually a gamer, I think, a little bit. JT Daniels.
Yeah, but JT Daniels at least is a pedigreed guy with some smarts. He just looks like. I was talking to somebody that's a coach for a team that Texas doesn't play, but a big school here at Texas. And he was just saying, he said, man, he says it's kind of funny to see, JT sort of look a little bit kind of Uncle Rico now, you know? So I don't know, man. Yeah, I think, is it Paisley? What Peasley?
Andrew Peasley, I believe.
He's good, man. I said a homeless man's Josh Allen. He's probably not. He's probably more like a poor man's Josh Allen. There's I don't think that there's that many ways he can beat you, especially with his outside weapons don't seem that good to me. Is he supposed, or any of those receivers supposed to be good? Wait, is this Isaiah? Is this Isaiah Nayer revenge? Sweet revenge. Be the perfect time to do it, man. He's played 6 snaps this whole season. He didn't get to play last week. Yeah. You're gonna have to get some of these guys. It's like Anwar was saying on the Prize Picks show. You're gonna have to get some of these guys. This is a game kind of like a makeup game, right? A game to keep them happy, keep them out of the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. Nayer has been, now for him, he might just understand he's a victim of circumstance. He's been hurt, all the rest. It's like sometimes you take a while to get back from being hurt, but golly, wait, what a time to kind of line him up and really give him a shot against his old team. I think that would be cool. And he certainly is absent right now. He's just buried. He's behind Jonte Cook. He's behind Casey Kane. They don't know whether they want him at Z or whether they want him at X. They practice him all fall at Z, and then he comes in at X in the game. It just feels like his role and his spot. At least if he was cemented as the number 2 X behind A.D. Mitchell, he'd kind of know where he stood. It feels like now it's like, okay, if we got to have a Z wide receiver come in and the starters are in there and it's early in the game, it's Jonte Cook. If we need an X, it's Jonte Cook. It's just like Jonte Cook is just way ahead of him. Casey Kane, it's the same. He's way ahead of him. So it could kind of be a good kind of Nayer spot to get him involved.
Well, we can parlay that into my next final take question, which is the backup Texas player who burst onto the scene in garbage time. Is it Nayer?
No, I'm going to go with what I was going to say last week. My feeling was Jonte. against Bama. I just had a weird feeling going into last week, and like most things, usually think about it a week or two early. I'm going to go Jonte here, just for sake of I think he's going to get a lot of snaps in the second half. You can really pick your poison at running back too. I think that would be interesting, but I think Jonte is that's probably where I'm going to finish at.
Cody's good at this game, man. I need to bring on somebody that's not. Cody's too damn good at this game. He's gonna end up winning again because he said that,
I already won. What are you talking about?
He said, this isn't over. Like, what is that poll up? You can vote in the poll. And while you're there, man, on YouTube, you guys, please, if you could click the like and the subscribe button while you're there. Also, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, like our great Val Garcia, it really is a very affordable sponsorship. We're not, I mean, you can email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Okay. And I just have it written as as one of my top priorities to mention that. Okay. Backups bursting onto the scene. Okay. Well, no offensive line backups are going to burst onto the scene. No tight end backups are going to burst onto the scene. Wide receivers, it would definitely be Jonte, because here's the thing about Jonte. He'll play with a little bit with the ones, and then he'll get in with the twos, and he'll be the featured weapon. Malik Murphy could burst on the scene.
Yep.
Is Anthony Hill still a backup? Chat, do we consider Anthony Hill a backup?
Pull up the snaps. You got the snaps.
Where do you draw the line on
at this point, so I'll say the snap percentages, just the play. I mean, as far as his actual production, he's not a backup. Snap. He's like he's like the sixth best player on the team production wise.
Yeah, I want to know total snaps. What's total snaps? Where's he finished total snaps right now?
Okay, hold on.
On defense.
So he is at Anthony Hill. He's 16th on the team. Or wait. He's what is he? Oh gosh, sorry. Hold on. Sorry, guys. So how many is this? So he's 16th on the team in total snaps. He has 46 on the season. He's played 40% of snaps. He played 45% of snaps versus Rice, 35% of snaps versus Alabama, and he only plays. He comes in sometimes for Benda, but mainly he comes in on the sub packages where where they go to three down linemen, where they get Christopher Ross in there, and then two big defensive linemen, and then they get the Jalen Ford, David Benda, and then Anthony Hill, like either flexed in the middle, off the edge, overhang, more of like the speed defensive package, the passing down defensive package. Whereas when they go to three linebackers, when they have four down, more like a run stopping true 4-3 out of their instead of operating in their base, which is nickel. Yeah, when they go to true 4-3, they get in jet bush. So it's like he's one of two sub package linebackers, but he's also the second team weak side inside linebacker behind David Benda. So I don't know if that's a starter.
I think he's in a weird space. He's in a gray area.
Okay. Well, I mean, Jonte Cook then it would be in that same kind of gray area. No, not as much. He's more of a backup because in the Alabama game, he played like 2 snaps, right? Yeah. So that's a backup. And Anthony Hill played 35% of snaps. So let's keep him off the list of possibilities.
It's a good one, though.
It's probably the best one, right? He's going to have a big game. Can I just say Anthony Hill, man? I got to make up.
Sure, you can have it.
I got to make up time here. I think some of these guys are probably. I think Malik Murphy's an interesting one to bring up. Arch Manning is an interesting one to bring up. Arch might get. He could truly burst on the scene. What if he gets 2 series at the end? It throws a couple. You
guys gotta just relax on this Arch Manning thing. I listened to like how many of the shows this week, and it was just all like, "Oh, Arch is going to get opportunities." It's like, dude, why do you want Arch to get any opportunities? You should want Malik like a whole second half.
It's the biggest Texas recruiting win since like Chris Sims.
Whatever.
People are interested in it. It's like it's Arch Manning.
Of course they're interested in it, but what's going to happen when he goes in there and throws a pick in the first 3 plays?
Well, then he won't have burst on the scene.
Well, exactly. But guess what? Texas fans they're going to lose their freaking crap. Like, just relax. Just take Quinn is in the Heisman conversation, and you want to get Malik as many snaps as possible in case something happens to Quinn, God forsaken. Like, just relax. Just slow your horses. Just let Arch practice all year. Did Patrick Mahomes take a snap until week 17 in the NFL? That first year? Week 17, right? That was first snap? Just chill. Be all right.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, it's just but come on. I mean, we can't have a little bit of fun here. I would just think that. I don't know. Hold on. So who's up? I'm actually winning. Oh, I'm winning for now. Perfect. Only 11 votes.
Vote the poll, guys.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hey, I'd rather be off to an early lead. Thank God I'm not like Texas Tech. Okay. We have another. So can my answer be Anthony Hill? So it can't be Arch. Somebody mentioned Derek Williams. I think that's an interesting one. He's a good player. He's definitely a for sure backup. Trying to think, like I'm trying to wonder if there's any of these edge kind of guy backups that I could see bursting onto the scene. The problem is there's really not. It's like it's going to take next year. The edge is going to be so much better, right? It's just going to morph into something so much more awesome once Colin Simmons is here. But that's a year from now.
Colton Bosick too. I don't even hear Colton Bosick's name very much right now.
Well, that's part of the equation, right? Yeah. Colton, he needs another year to get a little bit bigger. That's part of the deal. I'm saying you're at Burke, Bosick, and Colin Simmons. All of a sudden, if Barron Sorrell's gone, you're going to probably need to move Ethan Burke over to the strong side, right? If Bosick is playing, Bosick was a better recruit than Ethan Burke. I don't think would anybody in the chat argue that? Anyone? Sure. Would anybody no one would argue that. So I don't think they would. I don't want to speak for the chat. Corey Peacock, Money B, Samuel Hayes, good to hear from you. No need to even bring up Arch. What are you guys talking? Like, are we? I mean, are you guys really siding with Cody here?
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam.
It would be cool to see Arch.
Of course, it'd be awesome. Be great.
Bama had trouble with Bosick, but he wanted to go up the field. But Bosick didn't play versus. Oh, you're talking about Burke.
Did anybody say anything about Milroe getting benched? Speaking of Bama, have you guys talked about that at all?
Hey, mentioned it on House Divided, but
Texas got him benched. And did you know what I say? Thank goodness it wasn't a situation like with Spencer Rattler where they actually made the decision in game and the quarterback who came in was actually better, right? It was like Texas wasn't beating them quite that bad. They didn't make the mistake like they did versus Rattler where they just said, "Oh my God, he's just so bad, get him out." And then all of a sudden, just Caleb Williams just Superman, and it's just like, oh no! What did we do? It's so bad.
It was 4th and 2, and he ran for 50 yards for a touchdown. It was like, God.
You guys in the chat saying Arch who all this stuff. You got. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, that is not representative of this fan base.
It's just logical common sense, brother.
But Cody, common sense isn't so common. We're talking about college fanaticism. It just isn't. No, Cody's taking the lead.
Look at that.
You derp. It's your twerpy little brother that's throwing off the balance here. Of course, I'm not going to get any votes. This isn't fair. No, I'm just playing with Tiger. But hey, dude, I will call him I will say that whole thing beating me by 1 point, 193 to 192.
Hey,
very,
if you would have, I just went and looked at. He sent me the scores just now, and if you would have played Nathaniel Dell, you would have beat him. But instead you played Brandon Cooks, which is something I told you not to do all year. But what do I know?
All things. All things you could have told me before I put my SFP lineup in. At least I won't be playing Brandon Cooks this week. I don't think anybody's playing Brandon Cooks this week. Maybe your boy Michael Gallup will finally do something to justify your love for that dude. All right.
I got one more question to wrap up the game. We can either do it now or.
One more question. The final big question.
Yeah, because I know we got to get to some prize picks and some other stuff.
Wait! But has this the one that you've been holding out on us for? Keep it holding it out.
I think
it's the big one.
It's interesting.
It's the best one. Well, of course, I mean,
absolutely.
In the business, Blake. I'm not sure if you've heard, man, but we call that a tease, dude. Blake has his Blake's big question. BBQ.
Barbecue.
Whoa.
Blake's barbecue.
It's football with friends. It's fun as hell. And Blake's big question is next.
Corey Redding, the linebacker from Galena Park, North Shore High School, USA Today rated him as the best high school defensive player in the nation. That's incredible. Today, he verbally committed to play his college ball for Max Brown and the Horns. He's the kind of defensive difference maker the Texans hadn't been able to get in years past, so it appears things are changing.
This Orangebloods recruiting flashback focuses on one of the most important recruiting wins in the history of the Texas program. Former 5-star defensive end Corey Redding out of Galena Park, North Shore. To completely understand the significance of Redding's commitment, you have to understand the context surrounding the recruitment. Redding's recruitment occurred just 2 years after another 5-star defensive end, David Warren, bypassed the Longhorns in favor of Florida State. New Texas head coach Mack Brown was trying to put the finishing touches on a number 1 ranked recruiting class, but he had to overcome the stigma that great defensive players didn't go to Texas and that the Longhorns couldn't go into the Houston area and land a truly elite player that didn't play his football in the suburbs. It wasn't going to be easy for the Longhorns, as Redding's top 3 included Colorado and Arizona, with the Wildcats having a big edge with Corey's brother Chris already in the Arizona program, which had his mom wanting both players to play their college careers together. Colorado was actually viewed as a potential party spoiler, but while Redding was on his official visit to Boulder, CU head coach Rick Neuheisel took the Washington job. And that basically eliminated the Buffs. That left Arizona and Texas to duke it out. And when push came to shove, Redding couldn't leave the Lone Star State. Moments before he announced his decision, Redding informed his mom that he was selecting the Longhorns. He told her, quote, "I'm a Texas boy. I want to go to college in Texas, marry a Texas woman, and have Texas babies," while she broke down in tears at the news. Moments later, he told the world the news.
Corey Redding, in 1998-99 season, will be attending the University of Texas.
Redding's commitment sent shockwaves throughout the recruiting landscape as Mack Brown's dominance in recruiting in Texas began that day and rarely slowed down for the next decade and a half. The Longhorns finished with the number 1 overall recruiting class in 1999, with the USA Today's Defensive Player of the Year representing the cherry on top of a very tasty sundae.
Spent time with him and myself, and I was like, I want you to put it on my mind the next morning when I wake up. When I woke up, my hands was holding up that hooking sign.
Football with friends. It's fun as hell. I'm Alex Dunlap, man. Here on a Friday, a big Friday. Welcome to the weekend, everybody. Welcome to the weekend. So glad to see you guys still sticking around here on a Friday. I have kind of noticed on Fridays, man, people start getting about their business. They start getting the stuff that they need to do and everything like that. Sometimes we start to lose people, man. It's like, I think it's just having Cody on the show, dude. He's just the big draw of Cody Carpentier. Of course, you can find him on Twitter at Carpentier NFL. Yeah, man. But thank you for making us part of your weekend, and certainly throughout the course of the week, being here every day, 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. It makes the show so much better to be here with all of our friends and interacting with all of you great folks there in chat. Oh God, Cody's twerpy little brother Tiger. He's saying that he would never play Brandon Cooks.
I love this guy.
I can't believe it, dude. It's just got a 13-year-old in here just completely wrecking me. Look, hey man, he's very hey, he's pretty good at fantasy. Okay, we have prize. Oh, we have one last one. Okay.
It's a big one.
Oh gosh, what am I up? 52% to 48.
It's close, guys.
23 votes. Dude, there's over like 100 people watching. Come on, you guys go vote, man. And just remember, vote Alex. I'm not gonna.
If you like losing, vote Alex.
I'm not. Yeah, I promise that I will deliver on all of my campaign promises. I'll bring prosperity back to football with friends.
And a longer lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember who predicted the JT Sanders breakout last week and laid the line across the board in the final takes. And
all right. Fine. The final take. The BBQ. Blake's big question.
We talk about rain a lot on the show. So here it is. If it is pouring rain Saturday night, which it might be, it's supposed to rain on Saturday. Is that more advantageous for Texas or Wyoming?
I mean, it definitely plays more into Wyoming's game because it's going to be lower scoring. Just
as
an easy take. Like, it's going to be lower scoring. But even with that said, just a cool stat here. The last road victory for the Wyoming Cowboys against a Power 5 program, 2008 at Tennessee. They won 13-7. It's not going to be that low scoring because I think Texas can control the line of scrimmage to a better extent than a 13-7 football game. If that's the score, I think we have more problems than that are at hand. If it is a rainy game, I think it's just why not run the ball 45 times? I think it probably plays into Wyoming's hand, like I said, but I think Texas still makes it not close.
Well, if it's pouring on Saturday night, you know that your boy will be happy. I'll be happy with any rain, man. We got a little bit of rain today. It's just like I'll go out and rain dance. But it will mess up my prediction of 48-10. It won't go like that. The thing with rain that a lot of people don't realize is that it doesn't. I mean, pour like a pouring rain where it's coming. Or are we talking like coming down in sheets? Are we talking? I mean, you're saying pouring. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it's just
big rain. Big,
soaking, like
big Texas raindrops soaking the thing. It's like
I'm not saying that's guaranteed to happen, but it could rain on Saturday. Like it's supposed to rain on Saturday. We'll see.
I mean, of course. What? You're not guaranteeing this rain?
Oh, it's gonna rain.
Okay,
it's gonna rain, but some people think by game time it might be gone. But we'll see.
No one can tell you if it's gonna rain or not. Even these poppycock weathermen, dude.
Scott's a meteorologist. He's in the chat. Scott's a meteorologist. He knows.
What matters in football is wins over 8. What is it, Cody? Over we were talking to homeboy about this at the combine. What's his name? Chris Allen. Chris Allen WX on Twitter. Forgot who. Oh, he works for Fantasy Life now. Matthew Berry's shop, and he was saying, man, it doesn't matter till it gets to 18 miles per hour and sustained. So I was like, rain. He's like, it doesn't matter. If you look at it, like you back test it, it doesn't matter. Now that's pertaining to fantasy scoring and offense and stuff, but you would figure that it's similar for, just game outcomes. And we saw like in Cleveland, when they get those games where it's like gusts up to 40 miles an hour coming off that just completely ruins football games. I would say the defensive backs probably are at a greater disadvantage if the ground is slick. Generally in snow, I would think about this, but maybe in rain, since the wide receiver knows where he's going to go and the defensive back just has to read and react what the wide receiver is doing. He doesn't know where the play's going. It's it really in the passing game, for anything it takes away from it, it kind of opens it up in that particular way. So I feel like it sort of evens it out. With that said, I feel like intuitively, just like football coaches get into the mindset like, oh, it's raining here. It's time to get down in the trenches and grind this thing out. We're not going to. Let's not put the possession in danger, stuff like this. So, and they worry about weird stuff like the ball slipping out of the quarterback's hands or weird, QB center exchanges when they're getting, them to drop back. So, yeah, I think that even though I don't think that there's that much empirical evidence that rain definitely always brings down scoring and stuff, I just intuitively, I have to sort of think the psychology of the coaches and the way people generally operate would make it play into play into Wyoming's hands, because I think that what Wyoming would like is this to be a game where everybody's just, get in, get out, keep Texas off the field.
Anything that messes with the flow of the game, right, is an advantage for Wyoming, because if both teams play their games, Texas should win big. So
right.
Yep.
So, I say it plays into Wyoming's hands. All right. So
All right.
where are we? Oh, so when does this end? Does it end at the end of the show?
Yeah, we'll end it at the end of the show. Here's where it currently stands: 26 votes. We need some more votes, guys. Come on.
Complete fugazi. Look at that.
Yeah, I like it. All right. So before we talk some NFL, Cody, let's go into prize picks and see if there's anything. Does Unabated have any edge on any of these cockamamie games tonight?
Let's see here for tonight. Let me look.
And plug on Unabated. I would do it if I knew what it was. I don't know what it is.
Oh, also, real quick, guys, we had a super chat a minute ago. You want to do that? Real quick?
Yeah, let's do the super chat.
Thanks, Spencer, for the $5. Start one, bench two: Pacheco, Roshan, and Judy.
Is this PPR?
Let him reply.
Spencer, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not PPR, it's got to be Judy, right, Cody?
Yeah, Judy's in. That's official. Just like 20 minutes ago that he's going to be in.
Judy's in, man. You didn't. I mean, look, Roshan was. Do you want to give your take on Roshan, Cody? After 1 week, my take was the game script kind of. I mean, Jordan Love went in there and just took the hammer to those guys, but it's like we've.
That's aggressive, but yeah,
we've always. Well, he did. He looked awesome, right? You didn't think Jordan Love looked great last week?
No, not really. I mean, he looked fine, but I wouldn't say he took the nail. I mean, he was 9 for 22 at one point. Like, I didn't think he took the nails to me. Missed a wide open read, missed a wide open Musgrave. That's beside the point. The point more so is we're talking about Roshan though, right? Roshan looked great in his opportunity.
But just let me finish my point. I thought that Love had some throws that were just crazy. I mean, you can at least admit that, right?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be good. The way that the game script went, and just with how miserable Justin Fields looked, and how bad the offensive line looked, and everything like that, it really played into something where they allowed Roshan at the very end to get a little bit more involved than he might have normally gotten had that script been a little bit more balanced. With that being said, on the other hand, though, we've always said, just give Roshan a chance, and he's going to show that he's the best running back on the football team, right? So luckily he got that chance, and he looked better than any running back that they had as far as my eyes. You watched every game you went and watched back all of them on the coaches stuff, or on the game rewind, whatever, the PFWA stuff. What's your take on where you stand on Roshan right now? Even though in full PPR, we're going to go Judy.
Yeah, the answer to this question is Judy, 100%. I love Roshan. Roshan looks fantastic. The thing is that all that stuff came in the fourth quarter. 90% of his output came in the fourth quarter, which is not projectable for fantasy like this. Like, we can say, oh, yeah, Chicago's going to suck because Chicago did not look good. But when all the usage came in the fourth quarter, and what did happen in the earlier parts, Deontay was running in there, but it was the majority of Khalil Herbert. Like, if we can see this happen, 2 weeks in a row, maybe 3 weeks in a row, where Chicago's continually getting blitzed and Roshan's coming in every fourth quarter and getting this, then that becomes projectable. But as far as 1 week of usage, it's very hard to project that. He looks awesome, though. I mean, he just completely, I thought it was funny. There was the angry run segment on Good Morning Football, and they were like, listed 14 people that could be up for angry runs going into week one. I was like, y'all are just completely overlooking Roshan Johnson. I guess goes out and gets an angry run because he does what we talked about through the draft process.
Did he end up on the Good Morning Football? Like, did he end up getting one?
He didn't win it. He didn't win it, but they talked about him, and there was that run against, you saw the play against the Packers, right? When he ran that guy over.
Yeah.
I didn't
know that.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah. He looks like Roshan. That's the big point. So but again, it's not projectable in this conversation vis-a-vis Pacheco and Judy.
But we're certain
Judy's healthy.
Pacheco doesn't look any good. I mean, he
also hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been healthy.
But he doesn't look like he's. I didn't mean to say that. I don't think he'll be fine. He plays in a good offense. He'll be fine this season. I'm saying he doesn't look like he doesn't. He doesn't look right now. Does he look right to you, Pacheco? I think he needs some more time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it.
Do you like Kansas? Do you think Kansas City has any chance of going 0-2 versus Jacksonville this weekend?
I have Kansas City by 3. I talked about this one earlier on my Sportstopia show. I talked about, it's down in Jacksonville, should be 88. It's supposed to be a little humid because there's supposed to be some rain, but I think they get Kelsey and Chris Jones back. It's a game changer. And I think that Jacksonville's a little overhyped right now. I do think Ridley's going to get heavily targeted, but I think Jacksonville's a little overhyped. I think if you go back and watch the Indianapolis Colts game last week, there was an opportunity where the Colts were up 21-17 with 11 minutes left, and they could have finished it out, but they had a special teams blip, and that really changed the entire momentum of the game. So I'm very hesitant on Jacksonville right now. I think Kansas City does bounce back, though.
Okay. Jacksonville has not beat a defending Super Bowl champion going back to 2006, I believe, was an interesting stat Chad Hastings had earlier in the week.
So that's a stat for sure. Holy wow!
So on the Circa Millions, I'm trying to pull up the lines because we're going. I'm going over it here. We're trying to look at them. And Siege he's really. I mean, there are some teams he's just really, really on. And so Chiefs is -3. Do you like the? But you have it at 3. If you had to pick, would you pick Chiefs?
I picked Chiefs by 3. That was my projection.
Okay. What do you think about here? Let's do prize picks first. Then I'm going to ask you about some of these other lines. Okay. Let's see. These cockamamie games tonight.
It's like, what is it? Army and UTSA.
It's just
Air Force and I don't even remember who the Air Force plays.
All right, so tonight, we have this game. What is this? Roman. So Maryland. Please play. Is Maryland tonight?
They're playing
Maryland, Virginia. Virginia's hogwash. Utah State, Air Force, and then Army, UTSA.
Kavori Barnes, dude. I mean, 96.5. Is this a game where they're just gonna? If Army's gonna run all game, do they run all game?
Let's see here. What did we?
Kavorian Barnes. What has he done this season? Kavorian Barnes.
We had some numbers up here. They're not there anymore. I don't know where they went.
They went into the ether just like all the rest of this stuff. All
Kavorian Barnes, week 1 against Houston, 16 rushes, 103 yards. Week 2 against Texas State, 26 rushes for 103 yards again.
He's going over against Army. All right, so we'll go more with him. Let's see.
I don't have anything from unabated for these games tonight. There were some numbers up here 20 minutes ago when you mentioned it. Now they're all gone. So,
do you remember what they were?
No, dude, I had them up, and I don't know these teams. I don't know these teams as good as some of the other teams. So
okay, let me just see if there's like.
I got a couple for Saturday's games. Tomorrow's games. There's a couple of 20, 19, 18% edges if you want those ones.
Well, let's just tell the listeners what those are. And I'm just gonna go through and I'm just gonna hunt and pay. I'm just gonna guess this stuff.
All right. So if you go to unabated.com, you can get a 5-day free trial. Check it out. There's a prize picks entry builder. There's a underdog entry builder. You get the edge rusher, and these are all just tools to show you edges in projection versus what these tools have. So, like I said, if you use the promo code Cody, you get 5-day free trial. Just go check it out. You don't have to buy anything. Just go get the free trial. Check it out. If you like to use prize picks, especially Justice Ross Simmons, Colorado State wide receiver against Colorado. That's the biggest edge on the day. He's projected for 50 receiving yards. Prize picks has him for 63.5. Noah Kim, quarterback for Michigan State against Washington. Under 233 passing yards, projected for 203. My favorite one this week was Jaquavius Marks, the running back from Mississippi State, projected for 87.5. They have him at 69.5. That's a 12% edge. Xavier Weaver from Colorado, the wide receiver that's went off the last 2 weeks for Colorado. He's projected for 5.8 receptions versus Colorado State. His number 6.5. The lower is actually the better bet this week. Brew McCoy against Florida tomorrow night. Higher receptions, 3.5, projected for 4.5 against Florida. Those are the best ones on the docket over at Unabated right now.
That's all great. So if I'm going to pick this, I mean, is this what do you think of a Talia Tungavailoa? Do you think he's a guy who's going to show out in the game, the one game that people are going to be watching?
Virginia's not good, dude.
Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm going to make this a more, and I'm just going to correlate it with a more for Tungavailoa. flex play 10x. That's how we'll do it. We'll go Kavorian Barnes more, Bryson Daly less, Roman Himby more, Malik Washington more, Talia Tungavailoa more. Just place that entry. It's free, right? It's a Flex Friday. You can go to Prize Picks right now. Use promo code Orangebloods for 100% deposit bonus. And if you place a $20 entry on players who are playing tonight and it loses, you just get you get your money back. So it's always a fun deal. Always a fun deal. Free shot at, like, if I wanted to add another one, it could have gone up to a $500 flex play. Free shot at five honey. All right. Let me ask you about some of these lines, Cody, because Siege keeps on talking to me about this stuff.
All right. So I will say, before you jump into them, there's an NFL Pick'em Edge tool, an unabated tool for the Circa pool and for any of your, league or your workplace or work office pools and stuff like that. They have this for that. So when you tell me your pick, I'll tell you what the edge is on unabated.
Okay. So what does it say? What does it say about, my favorite one? What does it say about Detroit, Seattle? I think we have Detroit in the Circa millions is and by the way, we were 3 out of 5 last week. So not a terrible start. We should have been 4 or 5. That dude, that's mainly the reason that I like it. Those Seahawks, I can't believe it.
The Lambeau game.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. I listen to everything Lombardi says. I read everything that dude writes. He was like, dude, you can't take Seattle here. It's like, I'm just like, what? I'm like, Lombardi. I'm just like, I love him, but he's not right all the time. Cody, did you watch yesterday? Whenever I played the thing of him talking about PFF,
Yep.
So good, so good, man. He says,
I love his rant.
He says, who's doing this? He goes, evaluate the evaluators.
They just hide behind a curtain. Nobody knows who they are.
So what does it say about Lions minus 4.5 at home versus Seattle?
They have it as a push. It's 0%. They have it projected minus 4.5. The line's 4.5. So it's a push 0.
How good is that tool? Is it good? Has it been good this year so far?
It's been 1 week. I don't know where to find the last week's results.
What is it? Okay, all right. Is Cowboys minus 8.5 versus Zach Wilson? Is this a sucker bet? To me, I just looked at it. I'm like, dude, if they just did this to the Giants, what are they gonna do to Zach Wilson?
But Cowboys I like the Cowboys too. There's 3 games that has it 0% where it's a push. Cowboys, Jets, Lions, Seahawks, Denver, Washington. Those are the 3 games that are 0%.
Well, that's Denver, Washington is the one that Siege is so into. He loves Denver.
Yeah.
He just thinks
they get Chase Young back too. I don't know. I mean, he hasn't done shit, but he's still Chase Young, and like Washington still looked good. Denver lost.
You thought they looked good versus Arizona?
They look good.
Really? What did you? So when you watched back the game, what was your takeaway?
Let me pull up my notes. What?
I just remember thinking. I remember thinking to myself that Washington is going to be the bums of the NFC East this year.
Let's see here. All right. Well, Zaven Collins was my number 1 takeaway. I thought Howell had complete command of the offense throughout the entire game. I was trying to figure out literally like how Howell was a 5th-round pick vis-a-vis Baker being the 101 overall.
Those two look alike.
They do. That's why
crazy. They like their faces even look kind of alike. It's funny.
I think Washington can be consistently good at home. Logan Thomas, when healthy, looked good. There was heavy rain in the 3rd, and then Washington's defensive line in the 4th quarter finished. They woke up the crowd. They had a good 4th quarter. They used Curtis Samuel more than I thought they would. And the players of the game, I had Montez Sweat and Deron Payne. Like, I think that defensive line is, as everybody expected, is going to continue to carry them. So I thought they were fine. Arizona, I mean, you can say, against Arizona, but Arizona looked better than anybody expected overall. So
Dobbs was a disaster. Like they couldn't. I don't think they looked better. Like
their defense did. Zaven Collins looked fantastic. They got Marquise. I mean, Marquise had 5 targets, but as far as like their usage all the way around, They didn't target Michael Wilson until the third quarter. And
that's
Dennis Gardeck and Zaven Collins on defense. Like there was no expectation that they would even try.
But the Giants, Brian Dable was not going to start out the season with two huge embarrassments, is he? I mean, they're the Giants, so they're 4.5 point favorites, or 4.5 point favorites going down there to Arizona. It's like after they got embarrassed by Dallas. There's no way a good coach like Brian Dable with a decent. I just can't. And Waller's going to go. Like Waller's, they say he's healthy again this week. Are you telling me Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller? They have some good pieces on defense. I know Andrew Thomas in, or he's still questionable, isn't he?
Dude, I tell you what, dude. I talked about this in the last show I did. I didn't see a worse duo on the offensive line in the entire NFL last week. Watched all 16 games. The worst two players combo, duo, whatever you want to call them.
Don't tell me it was Neal and Thomas.
It was Neal and Glowinski. The right tackle and the right guard was the worst duo I saw all week.
So Evan Neal is like that was kind of baked into my thoughts about the Giants this year. Was thinking it's like, well, Evan Neal's eventually going to be good. Evan Neal's awesome.
That's what I thought too, but it was not. Week 1 was terrible. Week 1 was he got turned like a turnstile. It was bad.
But he was PFF's number 1 graded tackle.
Wait, last week?
I'm just kidding.
I was going to wait, what?
I have no idea. He probably was.
Believed it for a second.
Yeah.
I did too. I was like, wait. There's no way in hell. They gotta have like an Alabama scout or something.
They got the same guy grading Evan Neal's. They had grading that Alabama game for Ethan Burke. Okay. What about? But what is does it say there's any edge on the Giants versus
1.5%? Yes. And again, the top of the line is 6.1%. So,
what are the biggest edges?
So Tennessee +3.
What?
6.1%.
Versus
Chargers. No Eckler.
Even with Skoronski out?
No Eckler, and their Tennessee defensive line was a complete unit last week. That was one of the better units in total in week 1 was the Tennessee defensive line.
Is Joshua Kelly going to be bad chalk in DFS this week?
It's a tough matchup. The Chargers offensive line looked great, but it's tough. That's a tough matchup. Arden Key is going to have a career. Arden Key, again, a guy that kind of has busted. He's going to have a career year. He's never had a double-digit sack season, but I think him playing opposite of Harold Landry, Tierra Tart's he outshined Jeffrey Simmons last week. So
which is something that's really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about just the kind of games that we're sort of talking about here and we're going through? I'm not getting off Detroit. That's my favorite game.
Yeah.
The Chargers was one of my favorites, but you're saying that this is one of the best.
The dangerous thing with the Detroit game is, remember a year ago this game happened. It was 48-45 is 93-point total shootout in Detroit. This one's in Detroit as well. That one, Amon-Ra wasn't playing. That one also Gibbs wasn't playing. But in the inverse, Kenneth Walker didn't have any output. That was a Rashad Penny game. So I like Detroit, but I just think it's a dangerous game to play. If Seattle does bounce back.
Does it say anything about Cincinnati this week versus a just completely just banged up Baltimore team? Like those guys have injuries everywhere, especially in the second. I mean, for me, like what I'm planning on doing in the small SPY, right, the small $100 single entry on DraftKings is, when you play these single entry contests, one tip in daily fantasy sports is that, if you're playing like the Millionaire Maker, or you're playing one of these things with like 500,000 other people, right? 5 DKR stadiums full of people, right? Who are going to have these really, really crazy cockamamie kind of plays and lineups that aren't correlated or anything. You're going to have to hit each single one correct, right? You're going to have to, it's going to be it's going to be a parlay where you got to hit each single one. And like, you can't have anybody not show up. In the smaller field stuff, that's where the stacking really, really helps. Like last week, in the 555-man $100 one, I finished in 14th with just double stacking Tua and Tyreek Hill and and Jalen Waddle, and then bringing it back on the other side just for just a big back and forth game with Austin Eckler. And I built from there, right? So this game, what I'm doing in my shell for my single inch tournament lineup is I'm playing Burrow, because I don't think people are going to want to play Burrow. Certainly not T. Higgins after putting up a goose egg last week. I'm going to do Burrow, Higgins, Chase, and we'll bring it back with our guy, Zay Flowers, right? I love that. But I do think, dude, Burrow's got to bounce back. Last week was in the rain. He's got those small hands. It was his first game back. You know, he didn't practice all, preseason. Now he's had a week of practice. Like, these guys are banged up. Do you think Cincy, I mean, minus 3?
This tool has Baltimore at tied 6.1%. Baltimore, 6.1% Tennessee. That's the 2 best bets in the week, is taking Tennessee and Baltimore. I do think Cincinnati. I personally think Cincinnati bounces back. I personally think Cincinnati wins the game. I personally agree with you saying Burrow and Chase. I'm more in line with Burrow and Chase. That's one of my favorite stacks of the week. Burrow and Chase and Diggs and Allen are the 2. That's the 2 combos in DFS this week that I want to kind of play around with, because I think they both are going to be very embarrassed after their week 1.
Oh yeah, you forgot. I mean, you just think about the T. Higgins air ball. That was a Jamar Chase air ball too.
Yeah,
that was a rough thing all around, dude. I had him captain in Ketchum's league. Just unbelievable. Okay, and then the one other one that we were just kind of thinking about, we talked about Giants, Cardinals. We talked about the Jets and the Cowboys. Did I ask you about Denver?
Yeah, it was a 0 game.
That's a 0 one.
Yeah, we talked about Denver, Washington a little bit.
And then what about does it have anything on Saints Panthers?
Panthers 2% at +3.
I'm a square. Total square.
I'm gonna write down all these. I'm gonna write down these.
Every time I check these things, it's like, no, you've got 15% edge going the other way. That makes absolutely no. Wait, so what does it say about the Rams, for example? Does it say the Rams plus 7.5 have like 15% edge?
No, Rams are 5th best bet at +7.5.
Okay, all right. So
3.8%.
This thing's just basically saying take the best bets and just bet against them, because it's like only squares bet the best bets.
I'm gonna write all these down, so next week we can come back and look at the ones that were all 2.5% or above.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely get to doing that. Again, guys, he's Cody Carpentier. Find him on Twitter at Carpentier NFL. Oh gosh. So and I've run away with it.
Run away with it. Okay.
It is 1-1 after 2 weeks. Okay. It's 1-1 after 2 weeks. Only 34 votes, man. You guys
look at this guy taking the W. The game hasn't even happened yet. He's already taken a W.
No, I mean, you took the W before the game last week. I guess
I had a W in the bag.
I guess we litigated if we wanted to. But no, we are onward to Wyoming. Thanks to everybody that's here with us every day. 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Central Time. The score of the game?
Yeah.
48-10. I got to stick with it.
Oh, come on.
48-10. What are you going to go with?
52-13.
52-13. All right.
I had 48-13, but I can't have the same numbers you, so I got to do 52-13.
Blake?
55-10. Yeah, I think 10 just seems like the right number. I've seen so many predictions for 10 for Wyoming. That just fits.
Dude, one thing that I'll say, keep an eye out for this one thing, dude. What they got to do with the offensive line, just one of the things, we didn't get around to it. They need to keep the defensive line's hands down. These guys, Giles is telling them, no matter what, you get to the quarterback level, you get your hands up. I think I saw like 3 batted passes last week just on the second half alone. So knock those things down. Be violent with the hands. And don't be violent with your friends. Have some fun with your friends this weekend. Remember, if you are with your friends, if you're with your family, especially if you're getting a chance to hang out with your kids, watching football, keep in mind, right now, right this minute, you are living in the good old days. So for Blake, for Cody, I'm Alex. It's Football with Friends. It's fun as hell.